Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about an intermediate plateau. This is something that I see a lot of people get stuck with or struggle with soloing or with improvisation. So what is that? Well, I think that intermediate plateau is when you have a couple licks, you know, you've got your pentatonic scale, like classic stuff like that, maybe some bends, maybe some other things, but you struggle to play anything musical. You struggle to connect maybe to what you're playing, or when and if you do find something cool, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. That struggle, that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, is what I call the intermediate plateau, and that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to talk about how to play stuff that's more musical, more interesting, more fun, sounds better, just overall kind of better. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to listen. So I'm going to take this note, and I'm going to play it over a couple of chords. So this is an A, and I'm going to play it over an A minor. And over an A minor, it sounds pretty normal, pretty like resolved. And I want you to develop your own kind of descriptions for these sounds. So I said normal, resolved. You might say sad, or boring, or sweet, or dark, or whatever. Your own descriptors. That's very helpful. Now, if I play that note over a D minor chord, it's a little bit different. Over A minor, over D minor. Let's play it over an F major 7 chord. Different again. To me, A is steady, sad, normal. D minor is something else. Sweet though. F major 7, kind of mystical, pretty. And again, you make up your own descriptors. Those are mine. And then here's another chord. Kind of more out there. More, not dissonant like a bad sound. You're not going to get booed off a stage or anything like that. But kind of like jarring in an interesting way. So let's take the first chord and the last chord. A minor. Normal, steady, sad, minor. And then this, what is an E7? Jarring. You know, not bad, but kind of jarring. If this idea is new to you, that notes over chords have qualities to them, then you're in the right place. And this might be what's holding you back. You see, a lot of times people struggle not because they can't play licks or they can't move around the neck, but because they can't connect their playing to what's happening in the song. So essentially, this A kind of directs the ear in the direction of the A minor chord, not in the E7. When I play A over E7, it's like the band is going in this direction, and then I go over there again. Right? We're going together, A over A. We're going in separate directions, A over E7. Right? What we're hearing here is something called an interval, or an interval relationship. Essentially, the note is colored by the chord that's happening beneath it. If I just play an A, it doesn't sound like anything. It sounds like a pitch. It's no different than B. Just a note. But if I play that A over a chord, like F major 7, or E7, or A minor, it has a flavor, it has a color. So what we need to do is play deliberately. It's not that A over E is bad. And I'm not going to tell you can't play that. Only play root notes. What I am here to tell you is that you want to play deliberately. You see, a right note has absolutely nothing to do with sound. And this is why you can't find the right note. Because there is no right note. Because it's nothing to do with sound. A right note has only to do with intention. If I want to resolve something and do the big finale, and I play A over E7, not much of a finale there. It just feels like I'm hanging in the air. The finale might come from A over A, because that feels much more resolved. But if I want to take my audience on a journey and hang them out over the ledge and say, this is kind of a precarious place for the story to go, that's the perfect choice. So it's not that that's a bad choice, that the other one's a bad choice, or a right or a wrong choice. It's that if the choice you make doesn't sound the way that you're expecting to, it's resolved when it should be unresolved, or it's unresolved when it should be resolved, you're going to get in trouble. You might have some happy accidents where you get cool stuff, but you might have some not so great accidents where you get stuff that really doesn't work. And that's not a great way to play, because we just don't know what's going to happen ever. We don't have any control. So here's what we're going to do. Essentially, we're not going to worry about only playing root notes and never playing any colorful extensions. And we'll talk about what that means. We're just going to be specific. This is your practice mantra. Be specific. What does that mean? Why would I do it? Well, I'm going to practice hitting A over A or G over E7 so that I know how to access that sound. Now, whether or not you like the sound or you think is appropriate is actually a second question. You say, well, I wouldn't use that in that moment, but now you know how to use it when you want it. Practice hitting certain notes over certain chords. So there's going to be a backing track that's coming up right here on this video that you're going to practice over. And I'm going to give you the notes to play. So all the notes we're going to be playing today are going to be out of an A minor pentatonic scale at the 5th fret. Classic place that us intermediates are probably stuck in from time to time. And we're going to play it over the chords in an A minor blues, or a variation of an A minor blues. So our chords are A minor, D minor, F major 7, and E7. So here are the notes we're going to play. And spoiler, you can play any notes as long as you be specific about what you're trying to hit. So we're going to play A over A because we need something resolved. That's going to be our first choice. We're going to play E over D minor. Now that's not a chord tone. It's a 9, and it's got a colorful sound. There's nothing wrong with it, but I got to know that I'm going to get some color when I land on that. Otherwise, I might think I can't land on it. Those are our first two. Then we got F major 7. We're going to play C. So that's going to be the third of the chord. That's another relatively resolved note. Very of the chord, directs us to the chord. And then we're going to retain that C over the E7, where the C becomes a flat 13. And this is a really interesting thing because we're going to let the chord change dictate the color or the flavor of the note. So when I play C over F, it's very pretty, it's very bright. When I play C over E7, very different. So we're going to do the same note over two back-to-back chords so we can hear it change in relationship to the chord change. Now again, spoiler, if you can get the process down, which is pick a note over a chord to play, and then do it, you can pick any note. And imagine how that would feel like. Imagine you're doing a solo, and somebody comes up after the gig or after the jam and is like, oh, what was that note you played over that F chord or that E chord? If you were just guessing or just playing without that knowledge, you'd probably start spiraling like, oh, what was that note? I gotta go check the film. I gotta listen to the recording. Did I hit like a terrible note? I didn't even realize? Dude, panic ensues. But what if they said the same thing and you said, oh, you didn't like that choice? As in, I meant to play that note over E7. And you didn't like it? That's okay. Everybody's musical tastes are different. I played it because I thought it was cool. It's an interesting thing because it's a much different way to approach playing solos and your art in general. Now, I'm not legitimizing my choice by saying, well, it's C over E7, so I can play it. I'm just saying I made that choice on purpose, and I happen to like how it sounds. And that's what we're doing here. We're trying to take control of the notes we choose so we can play them deliberately and always sound exactly the way we want, always sound great. So, A over A, E over D, C over F major, and another C over E7. That's our goal, and that's our homework. So I'm going to go ahead and play a solo and kind of talk you through what I'm thinking as I do this, and then the floor is yours. You're going to roll the backing track, and you're going to get an opportunity to practice playing to these certain notes over the specific chords. A over A, E over D minor, back to A over A. E over D minor, there's that minor 9. A over A. Now I got that C. And then a C again. A. C. So you can mix it up. That's D over D. G over A. And I'm picking those notes specifically. So I'll play E over F. It's a G. So there we have it. We're not going to go into every interval choice. Why I picked G over A at the end, or E over F, or G over E7. I picked those because I have a little bit more information about what those notes do. But that is information that you can work through. You can play that note over that chord and say, hey, does this sound unresolved or resolved? What interval is it? Is it a chord tone, 1, 3, 5, 7? Is it an extension? A little bit of that information is going to give you an idea of, is this going to sound in, or is this going to sound out? And then once you establish those things, you just start to play it. And you start to understand what it sounds like and how you hit it and do it consistently. So the backing track's going to roll. You got your notes to play, you got your scale to work in, and your goal is to be specific. Pick a note to play, try to play it. When and if you miss, try to work out what happened. I forgot where the note was. I forgot what note I was supposed to play. I forgot what chord I was over. So the C that was supposed to sound sweet over F sounded kind of funky over E7. It seems very nebulous, like these kind of conversations about how do I do this, but it's actually very concrete. There are a bunch of steps that have to happen to do this right. And if you can analyze which ones go wrong, you're in a really great place. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, letting me know what you want to see on the channel. You can check out the links below to try a guitar lesson with me or sign up for the Patreon waiting list. I'm going to be putting some cool stuff together. And yeah, thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next guitar lesson.